Last night I watched The Bay, which came out in 2012. It's available on Shudder. It's a found footage film on an ecological disaster, so it's an interesting premise. It had a good beginning, brought in some realistic elements and fears about the environment that are still relevant today, 6 years later. I like that it's different from normal found footage films since it has a narrator who's also the main character explaining some aspects of the footage and background that we might not know about. It was also untraditional for a found footage film since it takes place from multiple perspectives and multiple cameras instead of one or two. I found this really interesting and it really worked to its advantage. It has a good setting. It takes place in a beach town in Maryland. There's a lot of build-up and background to the story, so once stuff starts happening, you understand it, but there's still a mystery to it. Because of all these elements, the multiple cameras and perspectives, it felt pretty realistic and frightening, almost like a documentary, since it does deal with an environmental element. Something like that could happen, and of course I watched this the night before I was going to the beach, which was a big mistake. As I mentioned, there were a lot of aspects to this story and a lot of characters to follow, like the main character reporter, the couple with their baby, the girl who's stuck alone without her parents, and the scientist. It seemed like it could be chaotic with the amount of storylines that you are trying to follow, but it works out and keeps you interested because they go back and forth with each one. You don't see one play out and then it's on to the next. It kind of intertwines with the next, and it really works and keeps your attention. Personally, with me, body horror really gets to me, and I found it really interesting but disturbing at the same time in this film, because it's like, I also have a body. I'm going to the beach today. This could happen to me. Just kidding, but I thought it was kind of funny. One of the other really realistic elements include the government angle, since they knew about it beforehand when the scientists were investigating it and found fish that were infected and they didn't do anything. Like, that's pretty scary and realistic. I really wish more horror films would explore the environmental part, because it can be done realistically like this or a little outrageously and can really dive deep into societal fears. It was cool how the girl from Cabin in the Woods is in this. I wasn't expecting that at all, but it was pretty cool. So something that kind of bugged me, but I also understand why they did it because it's supposed to be a documentary, is that a couple times throughout the movie they like recapped and did a montage of important events that happened, and I don't know, I didn't really like it, but I understand why they used that tactic. Some of the acting also wasn't the best, but it definitely wasn't unbearable to watch. It was fine. It sucks that this only made 1.6 million at the box office, but it cost 2 million to make. I feel like if this was released today, more people would go and see it, just because I feel like more people are more environmentally conscious. So I really enjoyed this film and suggest watching it if you were tired of watching the usual like paranormal found footage films. This was definitely an interesting take on that.